Hi guys, so this is a video about multiplying complex numbers together. So when you've got two complex numbers and you're multiplying them by each other. So one topic that this is very similar to anyway is expanding double brackets. So that's something that you should understand before you look at this. So if I had x plus 5 and 2x plus 3, that's an example. So different people do this in different ways, but really what you're going to do is you're going to do x multiplied by 2x, x multiplied by 3, and then you're going to do 5 multiplied by 2x and 5 multiplied by 3. So expanding out double brackets. This is very similar to that. Another thing that's really important here and you need to recognize is that I, okay, is the same thing as the square root of minus 1, and therefore I squared is the same thing as minus 1, because when you square it then it gets rid of the square root. So I squared is the same thing as minus 1. That's something that's fundamental in complex numbers, and it's really important. So you're going to see I squareds in this. So every time you multiply a complex number by another complex number, like here, you're going to end up with something with I squared, and then you can convert that straight away to minus 1, so you can put a minus 1 in instead of it. So that's important to remember. So let's have a look at the examples anyway. So the first one, so there's different ways that you can kind of expand it out, but you're going to do two. One way we can do it is by splitting up the first bracket. So if I split the first bracket down the middle into 2 and 3i, and then we multiply both of those by the second bracket. So I'm going to do 2 multiplied by minus 4 plus 5i, and then I'm going to do plus 3i multiplied by minus 4 plus 5i. So we're writing down the second bracket twice really. Then 2 multiplied by minus 4 is minus 8. 2 multiplied by 5i would be 10i. Then we do 3i multiplied by minus 4, so that would be minus 12i. And then we're going to do, watch the last part really carefully, we're doing 3i multiplied by 5i. So really that's 3i multiplied by 5i. So 3 multiplied by 5 would be 15. And then I multiplied by I would be I squared. So this is where we see an I squared then. So what I was saying there at the start is going to apply to that. So I'm going to write the same thing again. I'm going to do minus 8 plus 10i minus 12i. But then the last part, because I squared, we said at the start, is equal to minus 1, what we can do is we can just put in a minus 1 instead. So we can do plus 15 multiplied by minus 1. So anytime you see an I squared, you can just put in a minus 1 instead of it, and it's a really handy rule, and it's going to help us kind of simplify this really. So I'm just writing the same thing again, so I'm just going nice and slow here, showing all my workings. So 15 multiplied by minus 1 would be minus 15, so we can just put a minus 15 in instead there. Then we're just going to put the real parts together and the imaginary parts. So now minus 15 is just a real part because it doesn't have an I beside it. So anything that doesn't have an I beside it becomes just a real part. So we get minus 8 minus 15 plus 10i minus 12i. So minus 8 minus 15 is minus 23. 10i take away 12i is minus 2i. So final answer then is minus 23 minus 2i. So we just get a complex number as the answer in the general form. Example 2, we start the same way again. We're going to do 3 multiplied by the second bracket, so 5 plus 3i, and we're going to do minus 2i multiplied by the second bracket, so 5 plus 3i. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15, 3 multiplied by 3i is 9i, minus 2i multiplied by 5 is minus 10i, and then minus 2i multiplied by positive 3i, well, minus 2 multiplied by 3 will be minus 6, and then I multiplied by I again is I squared. So you'll notice a pattern here where the last term always, well, not maybe not always, but is generally going to have an I squared in it. So that's the same thing then as 15 plus 9i minus 10i, and then minus 6, I can change the I squared here again, so same trick as the last time, into a minus 1. So I squared, we can just put in a minus 1 instead. 15 then plus 9i minus 10i. Now minus 6 multiplied by minus 1 would be positive 6, because minus multiplied by minus gives us a positive. Then we put the real parts together, so 15 plus 6, and we put the imaginary parts together, so 9i minus 10i. 15 plus 6 is 21. 9i take away 10i then is minus 1i, or just minus I. So 21 minus I is final answer. So here's 2 more questions. If you want to pause the video and attempt them, and then play it on, and I'll go through the answers. So I'll go through this quickly. 2 multiplied, we're just splitting up the first bracket again into 2 and minus 4i. So 2 multiplied by 4 plus I minus 3i multiplied by 4 plus I. So 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. 2 multiplied by I is 2i. Minus 3i multiplied by 4 is minus 12i. And minus 3i multiplied by I is just going to be minus 3i squared. Then we get 8 plus 2i minus 12i, and you can take shortcuts here if you're fairly sure you know what you're doing. Minus 3 multiplied by minus 1, because I squared is minus 1. 8 plus 2i minus 12i, and that's going to be plus 3 then, because minus 3 multiplied by minus 1 is positive 3. Then 8 plus 3, we're putting our real parts together and our imaginary parts together. So the 2 imaginary parts are the 2 that were in the middle. 8 plus 3 is 11, and 2i take away 12i is minus 10i. So 11 take away 10i. Question 2 then, we have minus 1 multiplied by 3 plus 2i, plus I multiplied by 3 plus 2i. So minus 1 multiplied by 3 is minus 3, minus 1 multiplied by 2i is minus 2i. I multiplied by 3 is just going to be 3i. And then I multiplied by 2i would be 2i squared. And then we're going to convert the I squared into minus 1 again. So that's going to be minus 2, so minus 3 minus 2i plus 3i minus 2, and then we put the real parts together, so the minus 3 minus 2, and then minus 2i plus 3i. That's putting our imaginary parts together, so minus 3 minus 2 is minus 5, minus 2i plus 3i would be plus 1i, or plus I. So minus 5 plus I.